What is up, Zero X and Matcha Nation? It is me, Michael Wong. I'm here with my compatriot, Jessica Lynn, and we are your hosts for Powered by Zero X. This is the series where we could dive under the hood of folks that are integrating with Zero X APIs, building with Zero X, powered by Zero X. And I got a good one for you today, folks. We have our own product, Zero X's own product, Matcha, the DEX aggregator that you all love and use. I have two core devs from Matcha to talk about the brand new Matcha and all that. We're going to dive into that in a second. You can't see the guests right now, but I have it on good faith that we're all matching, and this was accidental. This is a Zero X episode, so of course we're rocking Zero X, but just like Jessica here, we also got the green. All right. And when I introduce my guest, you're going to see a lot more green, and we're going to talk about a lot more green things in just a second. But without further ado, let's jump into this, folks. This is a conversation about Matcha, how Matcha is using Zero X to make the most frictionless DeFi experience possible in crypto. And I got two awesome guests to talk about that and everything we just built for you. I'm introducing Henry and I'm introducing Matthew, two core devs from the Matcha team. Welcome to the stage, gentlemen.
Hello. Hi. Glad to be here.
Look at that movie magic. I told you that Henry and I were matching, laced up in that Zero X, but all of us got that green on. That's pretty cool. And Henry's repping the Matcha sign. Yeah, what's up, Matthew? Matthew, I know you're not in San Francisco. Where are you from?
I'm in Los Angeles, so just down here in Southern California.
Nah, hey, it's all about that PST life, that Pacific Standard Time life. I love it. Cool. So yeah, I want to make sure you guys get an intro. Maybe we start with Henry. Give yourself a little intro to the community, to the crypto community, to all your fellow devs in Web3.
Cool. Thank you. So my name's Henry. I'm on the Matcha team. I've been at Zero X for about a year, a little bit over a year. I'm an engineer here on the Matcha team. And been building the new version of Matcha for ever since I've joined. And it's been super exciting. I've worked on some of the core features, helped with the architectural designs. And I'm just super excited to be here talking to y'all.
Sweet. Yeah. Oh my God. I can't wait to talk about all your experiences. Matthew, give us your update, sir.
Sure. Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew. I'm the engineering manager for the Matcha team. I've been with the company also for about a year now. Right when I joined, we started working on this brand new version of Matcha. And so it's been a really exciting last year. Building out this new product, and super excited to release it to the world over this past month and just see all the great feedback from users and continue to make it better.
That's great. That's crazy. You guys have both been here for just over a year, and your whole time you've been building this brand new Matcha that I've been using for the last couple months, and that everybody watching this has probably been using for the last couple months. That's a long year though. So it's really been scoped out for a year that we've been building this Matcha.
Yeah, a little bit longer actually. So I believe the plan started a bit before I got here, where we originally got the inspiration to build out this new version. It was a full rewrite of the original application, so quite a bit of thinking going into making that decision, doing a refactor versus rebuilding the application from the ground up. We took this past year. Took a lot of feedback in and built out this brand new application. You have this beautiful new branding attached to it as well. It's just been super exciting.
We're going to show some of that branding right here. I'm certain of it because I'm going to edit this right here. Bang. Wow. So a year of this new Matcha, it must be exciting to kind of get to the finish line on this and ship it. Let's talk real quickly about, for folks that might not know, the relationship between Matcha and Zero X. So for a lot of you that might not know that, Matcha is vertically integrated with Zero X. as the kind of the parent company, Zero X Labs. We built this product Matcha. These two gentlemen specifically built this product Matcha over the last year. Maybe I'll throw it to Matthew or maybe Henry if it's better. Can you just quickly talk about the relationship between Zero X and Matcha and why Matcha kind of benefits from being vertically integrated with Zero X?
Sure, I can take this one. Yeah, so as you stated, Matcha is the consumer-facing application under the Zero X umbrella. So we are Matcha is the largest integrator of Zero X internal services. We integrate all of the great infrastructure products that Zero X builds, the Swap API, our new token API, the transaction history. All of those things surface in Matcha and power this amazing product. So we really have the broader team at Zero X to thank for all of the wonderful functionality that we get to leverage and use. It's a great collaborative effort between the Matcha team and other teams within Zero X to build out just the best product that we can.
That's great, Henry.
Yeah.
Speaking to that, just joining a year ago. When you joined Matcha and started opening up that Zero X toolbox of sorts and seeing like, oh my gosh, we have all these things and we have different teams at Zero X building APIs that I'm going to be able to use. Like, what was your thought as a new dev and working at this crypto DEX aggregator? Like, what was the thought when you saw all the different APIs and things that we're able to use?
Yeah. I was first off, this was my first crypto job. I've been working in San Francisco for quite a while, but this is my first crypto company. So I was really excited to be here for that. But what I realized, and this kind of like ties back into your previous question, is like these APIs are really well thought out. And all the engineers on Matcha, when we discuss building or improving an API, we always think of it in terms of how can we improve it for the integrator, right? And we understand that there's multiple and many integrators, and this kind of mindset really helps improve the API a lot, because we're not just thinking about like one case, right? We're solving problems with like a system-wide level thinking. So I think that's one aspect of kind of our APIs that are really important.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, is coming from not crypto and starting to build at Matcha and Zero X, would you say that the Zero X suite and how it's even developed over the last year makes onboarding new devs easy? Like, I know you're a brand new dev to the crypto space. Did the APIs help you onboard a lot quicker? Was it kind of easier to kind of think about what it takes to build a crypto app like Matcha? Yeah, like let's speak to maybe some of the new devs.
That's a great question. Because I can immediately thank someone here, like Jessica. She's been working on the API docs, and there's a lot of effort that's been put into that. And one of the things I say to new devs coming onto the team is one of the first things you should do is just read the docs. They're really well written, and they cover the API very nicely. It gives you really a good foundation, not just to Zero X, by the way. It really gives you a good foundation to just exchanging assets on blockchains. So I recommend devs to read that. For new developers coming to the ecosystem, we have a really developer-friendly like entry into both blockchain and just our APIs. So even if you're just into blockchain and want to learn about exchanging assets on blockchains, like Zero X API docs are really the place to go and learn more.
Now we have Jessica. Good job, Jessica, with Henry's docs, or the docs that Henry just mentioned. Jessica, is it true? Do we have AI-powered docs now?
We have AI-powered search, yeah. So if you have a question, rather than just searching for keywords, you can go in and like talk to the docs, like ask for questions, and you can have the docs like answer back to you. So yeah, check it out there.
Stop messing with ChatGPT directly. Go to the AI docs at Zero X. For those of you that don't know, Zero X is the one-stop shop for APIs to build amazing crypto products. And of course, as we mentioned, Matcha benefits from a lot of those. I'm gonna let Matthew here, the engineering manager at Matcha, talk a little bit about maybe how Matcha started and how we got to where we are right now.
Sure, yeah, love to. This is one of my favorite stories, actually. Just a great startup product story. So Matcha originated, I believe, in around 2019 at ETH-SF. It started off as a hackathon project, and it was essentially the Swap API was a new product, and the onus was, hey, let's showcase to developers what people can make with this new API that we have. And so they set out to build this this DEX, this UI facing the consumer facing UI for people to use and showcase what 0x can do, what the aggregation API can do, and it became its own success. Originating as a dog food product and growing into something that people actually want and need. Is the best proof point for the need in the ecosystem, and from there, and many billions of dollars of trading volume later, we're here in this V3 phase of Matcha. So quite the exciting story, going from this kind of hackathon demo to the original V2, what we were calling V2 of Matcha, which is the version previous to this new version, and that went through its paces for a good 2 years or so, and then now we're in this third phase with this brand new product, and hoping to continue building and improving it over the next couple of years as well.
That's amazing. You said something that I think I want to double tap on, which is making something that users want. How are we doing that? Especially in V3, how are we making something that users want? Like, what kind of ways are we doing that? Like from a listening standpoint, and also like from an actual YouTube building it standpoint.
Sure, yeah, that's a great question. So we've gathered tons of feedback from our users over the last couple of years of the product. We hear from people through our Twitter, our support channels. We also have our own request a feature page through Canny that we're tapping into and monitoring user feedback there. And so we take all of that feedback to heart and hope to eventually be able to provide all of the features that people want. But for this initial version, we really focused on the core things. And one of the big things that we heard from users was that the app performance was starting to slow down, that people were starting to get a bit of a more sluggish experience, and that's something that we really drilled in on in this new version. App performance is something we really care about, and I'm sure through using the new application, you'll notice that it's a much snappier experience. There's far less component loading, and we really overhauled through this rewrite the broader app performance. And another thing that I can touch on, and I'm sure we'll dig a bit deeper into, is this token surface area. Traditionally, DEXs will leverage these various token lists that exist in the ecosystem that any real company can create, and many DEXs will just aggregate these various tokens to surface 10, 15,000 plus tokens on their various DEXs. And we just, we saw an inherent issue there. It's just not very easy to import tokens, know which ones to manage and trust. And, we wanted to really overhaul that experience. So with the new token API that we have integrated into Matcha, we surface through every single ERC20 token that exists on chain is surfaceable, discoverable through Matcha. And so that's over 3.5 million tokens across the 8 chains that we support. So you can tell, just an exponential increase in the surface area, and that's really something that we really want to emphasize, is making sure that any token that you want to discover, you can find on Matcha and learn something about it. If we have data on it, if it's tradable, if we have some liquidity available for it, you can trade. But really, the main thing is everything is searchable and discoverable.
Folks, he's not lying. I searched some of the worst tokens in my stuff, the shadiest contracts on Etherscan, and I didn't even have to type in the contract. I just type in the token name, and they're on Matcha, for better or worse for you. Like, use your own discretion, not financial advice. But token search is crazy now. And I appreciate all the work that Matthew and Henry has done to help make that great for Matcha users. Thank you for that, Matthew. That's such an interesting kind of like overview of the why behind Matcha V3, as we call it, the new Matcha to everybody else. Henry, I'm going to ask you a quick question here, and then I'm going to ask the same question to Matthew. What are let's dive into the V3. What are some of the things that you were very excited to build and ship for Matcha? And it could be things that Matthew mentioned or things that Matthew hadn't touched on yet.
Yeah. You know what? One of the things was search. So I'm going to touch on that a little bit, just a little bit, because Matthew covered a good bunch on it. In the past, we would use token lists, and many DEXs still do use token lists, and they're great. They're standard in this industry. But one of the breakthroughs, and we're still kind of working on this and improving it, iterating. One of the breakthroughs is search. One of the highlights of search is, customers have been asking for, when DEXs are powered by token lists, they ask, hey, when is my favorite token just launched? When is it going to be available on this DEX? Now, with Matcha, we have an answer. It's 15 minutes. And it's powered by our token API. So got to give a lot of shout out to the folks on our data engineering team who's worked on this. But really, the search experience is really powerful. Like Matthew says, you can search across blockchains. And since this is a pretty new paradigm, we're still working on like improving it. But I think this is one of the more surprising features for me personally that I was excited about on Matcha. The other feature that and we might touch about this a little later, that I really like is Matcha Auto. So Matcha Auto is a new way to trade. Instead of sending it to the blockchain, transactions to the blockchain, you send an intent to Matcha, and we can handle that for you. There's a lot of benefits from this. Top ones being less revert. So surprisingly, there's in DEXs, there's a lot of reverts can happen a lot, and Matcha Auto helps reduce the revert rates. But in the future, we can add even more features to these kinds of transactions to make the trade the best user experience for the end user.
Let's quickly talk about that. So let's dive more into Matcha Auto because I'm also excited about that. I know everybody on the call is. But you said it reduces revert rates. Like, what kind of trader would most be excited about using something like Matcha Auto and the other features, including basically reduce friction, and like if you need to get your trade in now, use Matcha Auto. So what kind of traders would you say, and maybe Matthew can add on too, like that are most excited or would most likely benefit from using Matcha Auto?
Yeah, the type of trader is the one that wants their trade to go through, for sure. So typically, when you submit a regular transaction, you'll have to watch for the gas. You might have to bump up the gas to increase the priority rate to get your transaction ahead of the priority queue for the miners or the validators in this case. But with Matcha Auto, our workers are behind the scenes adjusting for the best gas prices. So that kind of helps reduce the reverts. The other way that Matcha Auto reduces friction is that it offers a gasless experience. So if you've, let's say you were at a hackathon and you won 1,000 USDC, right? You give them an address and they give you the reward in 1,000 USDC. Now, how are you going to spend it, right? Like you need some ETH, you need some native token to pay for gas. But with Matcha Auto, you don't need to pay gas with your native token. So it comes from the cell token. So in this case, USDC. So guess what? Now you can trade without paying for gas in native token. You can just, when you win that hackathon, you can just take that 1,000 USDC. You can move it wherever you want with Matcha Auto.
That's really cool. I'm tired of calling my friends like, can you send me like 5 Canto right now or whatever it is, 5 Matic. I need to get this moving. Right. So let's recap that, folks. Matcha Auto is something Henry's really excited about in V3 of Matcha, the newest Matcha. It's a transaction mode that lets users get their trade in now. Way less revert rates. a Gasix experience. So instead of needing ETH or Matic to make your transaction for gas, it just comes out of the token that you're trading already. And it uses Transaction Relay API from 0x. Matthew, can you comment on how Matcha Auto is powered and benefits from using the Transaction Relay API?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the Transaction Relay API is what powers Matcha Auto behind the scenes. So it is a separate API endpoint, very similar to the Swap API, that allows users to from the context of the application, you sign a message similar to sending a transaction on chain, simply a signature, and then we submit that transaction to our backend. And then the backend handles the actual submission and process of getting that transaction processed. And so that's how we can help decrease the revert rates, handle all of that stuff that users generally have to do by themselves, either in MetaMask or through their settings and slippage, gas settings, all that kind of things. We take care of that and handle it all in the backend to make sure that your transaction gets included. And something I want to add on to what Henry said, and question that you asked, which is who can benefit from this, from Matcha Auto. I almost want to say everyone, because honestly, it's really anyone looking for less friction in their trading experience, and I think really anyone can benefit from that. You have folks, the awesome examples that Henry provided, that getting $1,000 in USDC and just wanting to offload it is it seems like such a simple problem, but you run into these little pain points like gas and things like that. Even bridging to other chains, you bridge some tokens over to Polygon, yet you don't have any Matic yet. You can bridge into chains now by selling your USDC for some Matic or whatever token you bridge over, and now you've entered that chain. You don't need to go and buy the native token and transfer it over. So there are tons of potential use cases that we see benefiting from this kind of tool. And we're just really excited to continue to make it better and just make it, towards that reducing friction theme. This is one of the main products that we see helping to do that.
I work with these gents and Jessica every day, and I can hear the excitement in the voices of building a product that is this exciting and this useful for users. And it sounds like it's for both users. I'm talking about Matcha Auto, both users being experienced users who, want to make sure that their trade gets in before the market moves. And also new traders who don't have any idea about, or a small idea about gas, are curious about why their transaction didn't go through, have no idea how to unplug that. So Matcha Auto is great for both sides of that coin. Thank you, Henry and Matthew, and everybody else, especially the 0x engineering team, for making that happen. Let's dive into some other stuff that we're excited about V3. I want to talk about the cleaner experience. Matthew, you talk about making a frictionless experience in DeFi. I think you guys have done quite a great job from a design and UX and navigating standpoint. Things are where they should be. What are some things from the UI and UX updates in the new version of Matcha that excite you?
I mean, I love our new branding. I know that's a great topic to touch on. We have a brand new, you may, obviously those of you that have checked out Matcha have seen a completely new revamped branding experience. So a simplified UI, really focusing on the core components, really trying to call out the core components of the UI. And just our branding is a cleaner experience. The inspiration behind it is Zen gardens and calmness, and who doesn't want that in their trading experience? You want a smooth, calm experience with no hiccups, right? So we try to be emblematic with that with our branding as well.
Beautiful. Jessica, do you have I want to make sure I'm not steamrolling this. Do you have a question you want to throw in here, maybe to Henry?
So we were just talking about Transaction Relay. Had some questions about, I've been asked some questions from other devs who are interested in the product, like why did we build Transaction Relay the way we did? Does it use EIP 4337, like this whole discussion of account abstraction right now? And then, can you talk to us about kind of a little bit behind the scenes of how does it work? Because we get a lot of questions about best practices that Matcha does, and other teams want to learn from that?
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good question. I think there was a few in there, but I guess I'll start off with like how it works. So TX Relay isn't account abstraction, but it is what's going to give you a GasX experience like today now. So one of the key things to getting a GasX experience is actually the token approval process, because when you approve a protocol to exchange assets, that approval process costs gas. Now, the TX Relay actually leverages the permit standard, and so we leverage that on the back end to identify which tokens can be traded with gasless approval. So for folks that don't know, feel free to look up the permit standard in the EIPs. But this allows certain tokens that implement the standard to be approved in a gasless manner. So that's kind of how we get over the hurdle of paying for gas in the approval process, right? And how we eliminate the gas from the user experience is for paying for transactions is that we subsidize from the cell token, right? So the gas fees come from the cell token and not a native token, and it's similar in ways to account abstraction. I believe in a account abstraction, there's this concept of a paymaster that kind of pays for the gas. It is a similar concept. Matthew, did you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, I think you covered the gist. Yeah, the broad strokes of it. Yeah, absolutely.
So just kind of breaking it down, so to make sure I understand it. So it's a two-step process. There's the approval, which you're looking at tokens that have this permit standard, and those that do can move through this process. And then that next step of the payment itself, like you're talking about, you're using the native token to manage that. And so then that we don't have to rely on account abstraction in this case, because like we can do this methodology by default.
Yeah, the user still essentially pays the fee, but not in native token. Whereas in an account abstraction case, you could have a paymaster that pays the fee on behalf of the user, like a sponsored trade. We don't necessarily have that in the TX Relay API. The user still pays the fee, but we're able to take it out of their sell amount. So from their perspective, they pay to get their transaction included, but not with the necessity of having a gas token or a native token to pay that fee.
Yeah, okay. I do want to emphasize that it is really similar to just a regular gas transaction, except the user never has to think about gas. So it really simplifies the user experience much more. But some people might have questions like, am I paying more, right? Or am I paying less? The answer to that is you're paying the same. So nothing changes on that end. It's just you don't have to ever deal with gas. The complexity of that goes away. So this is like really helpful for especially new users, because you'll have newer users come on and they'll say, why can't my transaction go through? Because, well, you need to pay for gas. There's this concept of a native token. All that kind of goes away with the TX Relay API.
Yeah, I really want to emphasize what Henry said there, because I think that is really key to this user experience piece and how, may potentially tie into the account abstraction conversation, which is, trying to eliminate these additional variables from the user's thought process, understanding what, like, as a barrier of entry into the crypto space, knowing what gas is, what is gas price versus units of gas, or slippage, this whole context of slippage. We're trying to abstract these things away from the user so that, from their perspective, it's an easy trading experience. You want X token for this token, and you place an order, and that's all you really need to think about.
Speaking of APIs, I know Henry has an interesting one to chat about with 0x Parser and how that's manifesting itself in the new Matcha UI for users. Why don't you comment on that, Henry?
Yeah, would love to. So in the beginning of Matcha v3, one of our designers, Jacob, had this vision that when you successfully executed a trade, and you get that confetti to pop up, that it would reflect the value that was executed on the blockchain. I don't think many dexes do this, and in Matcha V2, we didn't do this. So in Matcha V2, when you successfully completed a trade on the DEX, some confetti would pop up and congratulations. If you want to really learn more about your transaction, you'd have to go to a block explorer. With ZeroX Parser, which is an open source library which we built during a hackathon. It's really cool. And we're now using it in production. So now in Matcha V3, when you execute a trade and the confetti pops, we actually show you the exact amount that reflects on the blockchain. So yeah, now users can have confidence, right? So when you trade on Matcha, you might be wondering, did I get this amount? Did I not get this amount? What amount did I get? Is the amount rounded? How much was this? The gas cost? Well, right now, when you execute a trade on Matcha, you just get the finalized amount on the blockchain right there, right when the confetti pops. So you don't really need to go to a block explorer to look at your finalized number. So yeah, it really improves the user experience right there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's just like what our co-CEO Will always says. There's like a billion quality of life improvements all across Matcha, built by Henry, Matthew, and their team, and of course aided by the ZeroX engineers as well. Parser lets you make sure you have finality and kind of certainty about what went down when you pressed swap. You don't have to check Etherscan anymore. You can see it all in the Matcha UI. It's really obvious to me that the whole Matcha team, from designer to engineer, you name it, PMs, they wanted to make a product that you, the Matcha user, would love and has the things that you expect it to have, and also things that we thought you might like but you didn't know you wanted. That includes Matcha Auto, which is a transaction experience that is truly a frictionless experience, gasless, less revert rates, great for traders that want to get their trade in now, or traders who don't want to, or if you want to offer if you want to offer traders an experience that doesn't have revert rates or gas included, send them to Matcha Auto. Matthew also mentioned, users were talking about a sluggish performance on Matcha. We've upgraded the speed tenfold. You need to try it yourself on matcha.xyz. And last but not least, and there's a whole bevy of things on this list, token search. Matthew was talking about how some dexes, have a list of 10 to 15,000 tokens that they get from somewhere. We're indexing over 3.5 million tokens. Henry said when a new token goes live, within 15 minutes, you can just type it in. You don't even need the contract address necessarily. Into the Matcha search bar, it's going to be there. And I've tried it myself. I've found some weird stuff. Well, I'm really excited about the new Matcha. I know Henry and Matthew are. Matthew, how can people find out about this new Matcha? What should they go do next?
Go to matcha.xyz, try to swap, check out Matcha Auto, check out the standard flow, try a limit order, check out Matcha. Just go ahead, go to matcha.xyz and connect your wallet and try it out. You can
search
also
trade done. It is so easy, folks. Yeah. It is so easy. Henry, what are you excited for the future of Matcha? Stuff that we haven't even built yet. Like, maybe drop a little bit of alpha. You don't need to state explicitly, but like, what is ahead for Matcha? What are you excited about?
Gosh, there is a lot to say there. I don't think we have time for all the things that are going in my head, but I'm going to say two things. The first thing is the frictionless search experience. We're still kind of improving that UX, so I'm really looking forward to some of the things Jacob, our designer, is working on. That's number one. Number two, personally, I'm really excited about this. Some of our backend teams, the TX Relay team has been working on, is concepts around MEV, so protecting our users. We plan to be working on that aggressively this next quarter. And some of the things I'm seeing from the TX Relay team is been super exciting. So that will be coming to Matcha soon. That's going to be the most exciting thing. So MEV protection, things around MEV. That's kind of what I'm most excited about.
That's sweet. Thank you. So like Matthew said, go to matcha.xyz. That's the letters, not a word, XYZ. and look ahead to the things that Henry's excited about, including search and protecting our users, MEV protection, all that good stuff. Jessica, what an episode today. What guests. I told the audience at the beginning, where they won't see your face because we had recording issues, but I told them this was going to be a good one. Jessica, do you agree? Was it a good one today?
Yeah, I'm excited we finally got the Matcha team on. I feel like people have been like banging on the doors for this one, so glad
Yeah,
get
me
Henry
too.
and Matthew up here.
I'm glad. Devs, if you're watching this, I hope you got a little bit of inspo from Matthew and Henry. If you're just a crypto user like me, I hope that you're excited to get back into the DeFi space. Maybe start with Matcha. Try matcha.xyz. Go to matcha.xyz. Try Swap. Try Matcha Auto. Tell us if you love it or hate it. I have a place for you to tell us also. Go to our Discord, dude. I just launched this thing. Discord, I mean, it's right here, discord.gg/matchaxyz. Come tag Matthew and Henry and tell them what you like or what you don't like about Matcha Auto. We're in there. We're trying to have a transparent line of communication with the Matcha users so we can continue building what you want. Doesn't that sound good? I think so. I appreciate you joining this latest episode of Powered by 0x with the Matcha Squad. We're repping the green. We're repping the black. I hope that I see you next time. Use Matcha, and thanks everybody for watching and joining us today.